This week I am going to be doing something that I used to do at my restaurant a lot that people really loved. Slightly different though. It was called the pesto grilled chickens, or it was called the grilled pesto chicken salad. But at Farm Fresh they did not have the ingredients to make pesto. They didn't have any pine nuts, they didn't have fresh basil, they didn't have the stuff I need, so I'm not going to make the pesto. So it's just going to be a grilled chicken salad, but with all the same ingredients that were on the salad at my restaurant and the balsamic vinaigrette dressing. Now, that being said, I'm not going to make it exactly the way I used to make it, but it's going to be pretty close, so that hopefully you can enjoy it at home during this time. All of this being said, the salad's going to be pretty quick to make. And then what I'm going to do is I want to explain to everyone and kind of talk to everyone about why I do this class and why it's called Cooking in Recovery. So I hope that you don't just watch me make a salad and then turn it off, because after I'm done cooking today, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about myself and why I do this. So let's make this salad first. What do you say? So as always, here are the ingredients you will need to make this salad at home. So you need some olive oil, some balsamic vinegar. I have some chopped up pecans, a red onion, feta cheese, a stick of butter, some mushrooms, a bag of lettuce here. This is a 5 lettuce mix. They did not have the spring mix that I used to have at the restaurant, so I got something that's decent. I mean, it has green leaf lettuce, it has red lettuce, it has butter lettuce, romaine. So I mean, it's not the same, but it's close. It's what they had. If you want to go to someplace else, you can get spring mix, but I'm just using this. Also, of course, I've got the chicken tenders again, like we did last week. Bought some croutons. I'm not going to make them myself today. Maybe in the future I'll make some croutons, show you guys how I do that. And then I got some dry rosemary from Farm Fresh and some dry basil from Farm Fresh. I am not going to make the pesto, like I said. I will not make pesto using dry basil. That would be disgusting. But what I am going to do is maybe just put a little bit on the chicken tenders as I'm cooking them. And then I also have some crushed up garlic. Okay? So again, I'd like to thank Farm Fresh, of course, for these supplies, but I'd also like to thank St. Luke's Episcopal Church for donating the ingredients. They give me a budget to go to Farm Fresh and get the food every week so that I can show you how to make it. So I wanted to say a special thanks to them as well. Okay, so let's get making this salad. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is just get our chicken cooking. I know I said grilled chicken salad, but I guess you could call it a pan-seared chicken salad. There's our chicken tenders. Just put a little salt and pepper on them. That's it. All that's in the pan is olive oil. Okay, so I'm just going to get this chicken in here. Let it heat up a little bit. So literally there's only going to be 2 pieces of this salad that I actually cook. One, of course, is going to be the chicken, and the other is going to be the candied pecans, which I know some of you will remember from the restaurant. So I put the chicken into the pan. Like I said, salt and pepper was on the opposite side. Yes, it is on. I hate the stove. And then a little salt and pepper on the other side of the chicken. And that is all I'm going to do for right now with that. So the next thing I'm going to do is the candied pecans. Now, there's probably some people out there that are going to say, well, that's not how you do a candied pecan, blah, 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 blah. And maybe it's not the perfect way to do it, but this is the way I do them. And this is the way I did them at the restaurant. And no one ever seemed to really complain about it. That's what happens when you get a little bit of butter on an electric stove. So that was that full stick of butter. I've got it melted. Next, I'm going to take the bag of pecans, dump them right into that butter. Take my spatula, just start to move them around a little bit. Now I've got the heat on pretty high, but I'm not just going to let this sit here, because the thing is butter will burn very fast, so you do have to be careful. Alright, just move the pecans around, make sure that they're basically covered in the butter. Just regular granulated sugar. Go over the top. And start to move these around in there. The butter and the sugar are going to basically make caramel as the sugar heats up and starts to melt and incorporate with that butter. Now again, I'm moving it around, not letting it sit still for too long, because I do not want it to burn. Same with the butter, the sugar can burn very quickly as well. That's a disgusting taste and smell. Put a little more sugar on top. So all in all, I have used a half cup of sugar so far. For those of you that are sticklers to the measurements. And what I'm doing is, as I'm moving it around, you see I'm kind of watching to see how those bubbles form, how that liquid looks. I don't want it to be, stay too liquidy. I want it to start to thicken, to start to make like that caramel, right? Because that's what's going to cover these pecans. So I'm just moving it around, keeping it all incorporated. And add a little bit more sugar. Put that right up over the top. This is another half cup I'm putting in there, so that brings us to a full cup of sugar on a bag of 8 ounces of chopped pecans. 1 stick of butter, 1 full cup of sugar. There we go. Same thing, just moving it around. Not letting it stay in one spot. The other thing too is you don't want to let it stay in one spot, because the sugar will start to burn to your pan. That is not easy to get off. Trust me, it's happened. I'm going to find a container to put these in just a second too, because I don't want it to cool in my pan. If you have a sheet tray and some parchment paper, that would be ideal. You can lay it on that. It would basically make like brittle, same kind of thing. Let it dry on there, and then you can break it off into pieces. If you don't have that, you just put it into a bowl, let it cool in there, and then you can break it up accordingly to sprinkle on top of your salad, which I will show you all later. So I don't know if you can really see here. The sugar is starting to turn brown with that butter. It's basically starting to, like I said, make caramel. Okay. All the bubbles that you see there, that's the impurities burning off. You can see our chickens back here just cooking away. You don't have to mess with it. There you go. Our pecans turned a very nice dark brown. caramely looking. Okay, so I'm going to take them off of the heat now and continue to keep moving them around. I'm going to move our chicken over to here because I don't need this burner back here anymore. We'll let our chicken finish there. I'm going to let these pecans sit for a second. I'm going to keep moving around in the pan, and I'm going to put them into our container. And we'll move on to the next part. Alright, so getting ready to flip our chicken over here. One side of them is done. I'm just going to flip them over so the other side can sear up nice. Now to show you our pecans in the container. Nice caramelized pecans. They look delicious. Once they cool down, you can try one. Don't eat it while it's hot, though. You will burn yourself. But anyways, there's the flipped chicken. Now we're going to get on to the next part. Alright, so the only two things that we really have to prep up for our salad, cutting-wise for right now, is the red onion and the mushrooms. This is going to go pretty easy. Cut off the two ends, cut it in half, peel off that skin. The outside skin, I don't need it for anything. Alright, now I just want this onion in nice slices. I'm just going to take my knife, let the knife do the work, and just slice it down through. Half one, and the other half. Done. Sliced up. Next up, we'll slice these mushrooms, get those ready for the salad. I'll just do a couple to show you. I'm just going to set the mushroom down. Same thing. Let my knife do the work. Just come through. Take your time once you get to the end. Nice little mushroom slices. Be careful, don't cut your finger. Alright. Just nice slices to go on top of our salad. Alright, so next up, we're going to make the dressing. And yes, this is the rosemary balsamic dressing that I used to make at my restaurant that many of you loved. And people used to always ask me, how do you make it? What's the recipe? And I would never tell you. Well, I'm about to show you how I make it. So pay attention. It's going to be trial and error for yourself to really figure out exactly how much, because I'm not going to tell you the measurements. You're just going to have to kind of figure it out. All right? It makes it kind of fun. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here we go. Now, normally at the restaurant, I used a blender or a mixer, food processor to make this dressing. I don't have any of that here, so I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way with a whisk. You can still get it to turn out pretty good. So, first off, olive oil. All right, good amount of olive oil. Next, I've got the dry rosemary. Putting a good amount of that in there, as you can clearly see. Salt. Decent amount of salt. Just a little bit of pepper. All I have here is black pepper. I used to use white pepper at the restaurant, so if you want to get white pepper, get some white pepper. Garlic, chopped garlic. Well, this is actually minced garlic, crushed garlic, sorry, because like I said, I don't have the blender. So a couple of nice big heaps of garlic. Don't be saying, oh, there's too much garlic. There's never enough garlic. And now, balsamic vinegar. Should be good. Let's start to mix it up. Now, if you are using a blender at home, it's going to get a lot thicker. Reason being, as the blender is going, it's going to start to become an emulsification. It's going to break down the fats in the oil, okay, and those are going to stick to the vinegar. Look up emulsification, you can figure it out. Also would chop up your rosemary a lot more. It just thickens. But if you don't have a processor at home and you can just use this, I promise you it's going to be just as good. It's pretty dark, so I'm going to actually add a little more olive oil to it. Open up this second jar. So because I added a little more olive oil, I'm going to add a little more salt. And then, of course, after you mix it up, taste it. See where you're at. Maybe take a little piece of lettuce, or I'm going to take a little piece of mushroom here. Just dip it in, taste it, and see where I'm at, but also kind of see the coverage. All right? So that's decent. Almost there. A little more salt. A little more olive oil. Stir it up. And now if you're using the food processor at home or a blender, same thing, just stop it. Take something, piece of mushroom, piece of onion. Well, piece of mushroom, piece of lettuce, don't use a piece of onion. Piece of mushroom, piece of lettuce, dip it in there and taste it and see where it's at. All right, if it gets too bitter, like if you put in too much salt or something like that, you can add a little sugar to sweeten it, but don't add that unless you absolutely have to. Or if you want to, you can just to sweeten it up a little bit, but the balsamic itself is pretty sweet. That's what will give you the sugary taste in the dressing. And there you go. That's basically it. Put it into a container, you're ready to go. Okay, so our chicken's done. I've already cut up one piece. What I'm going to do is, I've got to sit on my cutting board, and I'm just going to kind of chop it up with the knife. Okay, I'm not trying to be exact here. I'm just chopping it up. Because if you remember, it just kind of got put on top of the salad. And if you want, you can cut it into nice little strips and all that, which that's fine. I'm doing it this way. And I'll show you why actually after, because I didn't, remember I said about the dry basil, well I didn't put it on it while it was cooking. I'm going to do it just a little bit differently, and you'll see in just a second. So now you can see there's the chicken all chopped up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil, okay, just put it over the top. And remember I had that dry basil. All right, I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit on there, like that. Now I'm just going to kind of mix that up. So it just kind of covers it, gives it just a little bit more flavor. Now, granted, it's not going to be the same as when I cooked it with the pesto, but it is going to give it some flavor. And I guarantee it's still going to be good on this salad. All right, we've got everything ready. Let's put this salad together. All right, so here we go. Okay, I've got a ton of lettuce because I'm making it for all the staff. Okay, this is my bowl of lettuce. Now, I always did all my salads like this at the restaurant. I didn't put my dressing into a container. You can put yours into a container if you want. All right, I'm not going to put all of it in this lettuce, but what I'm going to do, drizzle some of the dressing on there. Okay, I stirred it up first. If you put it into a container, I suggest you shake it up first. I'm going to take some tongs. I'm just going to move the salad around in the dressing to get it all covered with the dressing. The reason why we do this in restaurants, and well, not all restaurants, but some restaurants, and the reason why I always did it is because this way you get a taste of the dressing with every bite. If I just put the dressing on the side all the time, you're going to get one piece that has dressing, one piece that doesn't have dressing. You know, if you toss your lettuce in your dressing, you are guaranteed to have a little bit of dressing in every single bite you take. So that's why I do this. All right, so my lettuce is all mixed up. It's going to be the first thing that goes down on my plate. All right. So this one's going to be for me, so I'm going to put a good amount of lettuce right there. Now for all the toppings. Now you can put them all around if you want. I'm going to do it the same way I used to do at the restaurant. Okay, but I would normally be wearing gloves at the restaurant, but again, this is for me, so I don't have to. So, croutons right there. Take my red onion, put that over there. Mushrooms right here. Next is my candied pecans. I didn't have them over here ready. Kind of smush them up. Sprinkle those right there. Take my chicken. Put it right there in the center. Now, some restaurants I use gorgonzola cheese, for those of you who remember. But at my last one I used feta. So then you take the feta and you sprinkle it over the top. And there you have it. The grilled chicken salad from Jones Valhalla and many other restaurants that I worked at, with the famous balsamic rosemary vinaigrette. All right, I'll be with you in just a second. For those of you who know me, you know that I'm in recovery. I'm 5 years sober, a little over 5 years. Some of you don't know my history, some of you do. Some of you may not think it was that serious. Others understand why I had to get sober. And that's what kind of leads me, getting sober is what led me to make connections with my friends that work here and how I got involved here at MHA. So just a brief little deal. I got, like I said, sober a little over 5 years ago when I was 38 years old. At that time, I did own my restaurant, Jones Valhalla, and I was working there, of course, running the restaurant. I was also a really bad alcoholic at the time, and I was addicted to cocaine. I started drinking when I was in about 8th grade, and I did it right up until I was 38 years old. Cocaine I started using on a regular basis when I was about 23. Same thing. I did that until I was 38 years old. Now, some of you might be really confused about that. Others know that I did those things. It ruined my life. It ruined a lot of things for me. You know, I had my dream. I had a restaurant. That was always my dream for years and years and years. And my addiction destroyed my dream. I had to close the restaurant for more reasons than just it was slow or this or that. You know, I had to close the restaurant because I blew all the money. I blew all the money. On the outside, it may have looked like I was doing all the right things and that I had it together. You know, married, children, restaurant, all these wonderful things. Behind all that was someone who was hurting. And that someone was me. I was in a bad way. You know, I wasn't necessarily getting drunk and getting high every single day. But when I did, it was bad. you know, and I did that for a very, very long time, until I got my third DWI. That was when I owned the restaurant. And when I woke up the next morning, a major part of my life wasn't there when I woke up. So I had to change, and I knew that I had to change right then and there. That was a Sunday morning that I woke up to realize this. I had gotten arrested the night before on a Saturday night. So on that Sunday, I basically just cried the entire day. But I also knew that I had to change. I had to change my life. I had to change the way I had been living for all of those years, you know. I always knew that I had a problem. When I was 17, I went to my first NA meeting here in Jamestown. 17 years old. I got sober for about a year in my late 20s, early 30s. Then I got sober for about a year and a half at around 34, 35. And then, of course, 38. I've been sober ever since I was 38. But so, the road to recovery, excuse me, for some of us can take a very long time. Like I said, I went to my first NA meeting when I was 17. I didn't get sober this time until I was 38. That's 21 years later. You know, I mean, that's crazy when you think about it, but it's just how it is, and that's been my path. But so as I was saying, it was that Sunday morning I woke up, I realized I had to make a change because I was losing everything in my life. So then on that Monday, woke up, went to the restaurant, opened the restaurant. First thing I did is made a call to Family Services Counseling here in Jamestown, and I said, I need help. I need help. I can't do this. I can't do this on my own. I didn't have the ability to go to an inpatient rehab facility or something like that because I had a restaurant to run. Like, I owned a business. I couldn't, you know, at that time I didn't think I could just walk away from it all, you know. So I immediately started going to counseling that day, that Monday, 4 o'clock. Closed the restaurant at 3, walked right over to their offices and started counseling. I went to counseling every single day, Monday through Friday, for the first 2 months. I went to counseling every day when I got out of work. I walked over there because I knew I needed help. Then I was slowly able to start doing some other things, you know, talking with different people, kind of branching out a little bit in my recovery. I didn't go to NA meetings, I didn't go to AA meetings, I just went to counseling. But what I did start to do was meditate. I started to use meditation in my recovery. I had read about it, you know, and how meditation and mindfulness could help in recovery from drugs and alcohol, substance use disorder. So I started meditating on my own at home. And then a good friend of mine, you know, really good friend of mine, now he's my boss here at the MHA. He walked into my restaurant one day and he handed me a book. And he just goes, hey, you know, I think you could really use this. You know, I knew Steve at that time, Stephen Michael Cobb, but I didn't know him extremely well. But he handed me a book called Refuge Recovery. And that's a recovery book, recovery group, recovery program, based around and inspired by the teachings of the Buddha and using mindfulness and meditation. I wasn't a big reader at the time. He gave me that book. I read it in 2 days. I couldn't put it down because it was me. You know, everything they talked about was me, and I had never really had my eyes opened like that. You know, and then I started talking with Stephen a lot more. You know, about a year went by, I think, something like that, and then I ended up closing the restaurant, as all of you know. Well, some of you know, I closed the restaurant, and I started working at a garage working on cars, doing body work on cars. It was a gentleman that I met at St. Luke's Church. I started going to St. Luke's, and I met him there, and he hired me, and I was working there. And I was just still doing the meditation at home, but we had also started the Refuge Recovery group at St. Luke's. It was me, Stephen, and a couple other people, Sheridan Smith, who I work here with at MHA. So us three, Alex, who works down here at MHA, he was at that group. You know, some other people. And that that really started to become my home away from home, my family away from my family. I got a lot of support from those guys, and they really helped me through. And then one night, one day, I can't remember what it was, Steve just said to me, hey, you know, how would you like to start volunteering or getting involved down at MHA? You know, he said he used to do a cooking class down here. And he asked me if I would be interested in doing that. At the time, I was working full-time at the garage. But I decided, you know what, yeah, this was 2 years after I got sober. I was like, yeah, you know, that's something I need to do. I need to start getting involved in the recovery community here in Jamestown. And so, thanks to Stephen and Kia Briggs, who used to work here, they let me come down and start my cooking and recovery class. It was a way for me to do something I love, which is cook, but also to tell my story and to talk to people and to help people the best I could at that time, you know. So I started doing the cooking and recovery class down here on Mondays. It was Mondays at 10:30 in the morning. I had gotten a sponsorship from Farm Fresh, and they let me go there and pick out anywhere from $30 to $40 worth of food, and then I would come down here and cook in front of the class, in front of all the people. A lot of the meals that I made showed people how they could cook something decent for themselves on a very low budget, you know. Basically, you know, all the ingredients I got were at Farm Fresh, but it was also things that they could easily get at, say, 7-Eleven or something like that. You know, so instead of spending $10 on a shitty pizza, you know, you can turn the corner and get, you know, fresh vegetables and fruits and meats and eggs and butter and, you know, go down another aisle and get pastas and sauces and different things like that. So showing people how to cook, basically. You know, not everyone knows how to cook like I do, or like maybe you do, or someone else watching this tape. But showing them how to start cooking for themselves in recovery, and how to start taking care of themselves, not just, you know, mentally in recovery, but physically, helping your body feel a little bit better by eating better. So I taught that class down here for a year, and then I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I know that I wanted to become a recovery coach, and I started harassing Steve about it. And he showed me how to start taking the classes online at the Academy of Peer Services, and I started taking those. And then I'll never forget, there was one day I came in to do my cooking class, and you know, I was almost done, and Steve came up to me and he said, hey, can you stop up to my office when you're done cooking? And I didn't think nothing of it. You know, he had asked me to do that almost every time I came down to cook, because we would just talk afterwards. And you know, I got done cooking and I walked up there, and he said, yeah, come on in. You know, I go into his office, shut the door, and he just looks at me and he goes, we want to offer you a job here at the MHA. And I just go, yes. You know, I didn't ask how much am I going to get paid, what do I have to do, anything. I just said yes, because I knew that this is where I belong, and this is what I need to be doing, and not just for myself and for my recovery, but for all the people I work with and all the people I try to help on a daily basis. You know, recovery is not easy. Recovery is hard. I will never tell anyone it's easy. It is hard. It is tough to stay sober. It is tough to live this life. But it's rewarding. It is so fucking rewarding, because I enjoy my life now. I enjoy every aspect of my life. I still have bad days. I still have tough days, but I wake up every morning happy because I made it through another day. And as we all know right now, there's been a big spike in overdoses in town. So there's some people who are losing this battle. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk about this and I wanted to say this is because I see comments on Facebook and out in the public of what people say about people who are losing their battle with addiction. And it drives me insane because it's stigma, okay? So that's one of the things we want to end down here at MHA, because we want to help people, because every single one of us who works down here are in recovery, you know? So maybe by me coming out and saying, hey, it's me, Sean Jones, the guy that you know from, you know, owning this restaurant and working at the ice arena and doing this and working at this restaurant and doing that and working at the Regina Civic Center and, you know, doing this, that, and the next thing. I'm an addict. I'm an addict in recovery. So before you say something about someone, call them a derogatory name, put them down for the troubles that they're going through, remember you're talking about me. And you're talking about all of my friends. And you're talking about people that I love with all of my heart. And the truth is, you're probably talking about your own family members. So maybe be a little bit kinder. And I'm sorry to get heavy like this, but I'm hoping that people watch this and they actually listen to what I'm having to say. And they think about what I'm having to say about all of this. And I know I can start to ramble, you know, but it's just, this means a lot to me. And it's not easy to admit these things. But the truth is it's easy for me to admit these things now because of what I do for a living, because of my job, because of working here at the MHA. I get to meet people every day that just, they want to get out of the rut. They want to get into recovery. They want help. They know that they're stuck. And what I always tell people down here is I'm not going to make you do anything to get into recovery. I'm not going to make you do anything. I'm going to walk with you. I'm going to walk this path with you. So whether that means that you're going to stop using all substances or you just want to cut down on whatever it is you're doing, whatever works for you, that's what I'm going to do with you. I'm just going to walk this path of recovery with you, and I'm going to try to help you the best I can, and I'm going to support you the best I can. You know, I can't do everything for you. None of us here can. You have to do the hard work. But damn it, I'll stand next to you the whole time you do it, and I'll encourage you, and I'll cheer you on. Just like my friends in recovery did for me. They didn't give up on me, and that's why I'm successful. And I won't give up on anyone down here either. And I hope that all of them can be successful. And there's a lot of people out there that I've worked with that I am so extremely proud of because of the work they've put into their recovery and the wonderful things that they're doing and the lives that they're living. It's just amazing to watch. So why do I do the Cooking in Recovery show? It's because of all of that. It's not because we're in quarantine. It's not because I thought it'd be cool to cook food and put it on the internet. It's because I give a shit about every person who walks through this door. And I know that a lot of the people who used to walk through these doors and come down here to MHA with me, they can't come down here right now. And I know how much I miss them. I miss seeing their faces. So hopefully they can see me and watch me cook, and they can crack jokes at me just the same as they did when we were all standing here. And I promise you, we'll be back here. We'll be back here. We'll all be standing at the counter. I'll be making food, and we can all have a good time. So I thank you for listening to me. I thank you for watching this. And if anyone needs any help whatsoever, whether it's with a substance use disorder or they're depressed or they don't know what to do, anyone can reach out to me at any time they want to. You can contact me here on Facebook. You can call down to the MHA and talk to me. You can call me on my cell phone, 716 490-1048. But if you want help and you need help, I hope you reach out. And just know that I love you all. Take care.